Bonjour, Ojajake Indigenous Wabishke Nangekwe Indigenous Mekanekto Dem. My English name is Quinn. My spirit names are Crane Woman and White Star Woman, and I'm from the Turtle Clan. I'm currently the Executive Director at the Elizabeth Fry Society of Manitoba. I've been a member of the Gender Equality Network of Canada, and I also do some independent consulting with IRIS. Indigenous people with mental health challenges and addictions, FASD, cognitive or intellectual disabilities have often shared that their interactions with police and corrections and other institutions are extremely traumatic and extremely problematic, and they experience a significant amount of racism within those institutions. There's often instances of violence that they experience at the hands of police, at the hands of correctional officers. Derogatory comments are often made to them about being an Indigenous person. And there's also a significant lack of awareness for their particular and diverse needs, as people are often reliant on medication and other forms of behavioral modification to manage people. So the treatment is inherently linked to our experiences with colonization and the racism and systemic issues that come with our experiences of colonialism. And so when we interact with folks that have mental health issues and addictions and FASD and different psychosocial disabilities, we consistently are hearing about the trauma that they've experienced. It's about challenging the systems of oppression that we are forced to interact with and that force us to make really difficult decisions about how we're able to move through the world. And those decisions are often made for folks that have disabilities. And so we're really trying to break down those barriers and make sure that individuals have the opportunity to make decisions for themselves. And it's consistently an experience with institutions. So whether somebody is being forced onto medication or looking at being formed or being arrested because they're considered to be causing a disturbance due to decompensating mental state, we really want to make sure that there's alternatives to that in the community that are anti-colonial, that are anti-racist, that are anti-oppressive, and that are accessible to the folks in our community that are experiencing this type of discrimination. In our experience, the majority of the folks that we interact with do have some kind of a diagnosis, whether it's FASD or PTSD, depression, anxiety. The experiences when somebody does end up in the justice system and in an institution is that they're often assessed as a higher risk because of their mental health and addictions, and it becomes very difficult for them to actually get out. That's really the one thing that has been a big push in Winnipeg, is to try and ensure that grassroots groups have that support, have those relationships with folks in the community, so that they're the ones that are called to perhaps intervene in different situations as opposed to calling the police. The way that women are treated in the institutions, it's like every day we hear a story about somebody doing something to them. Significant experiences of gender-based violence. The women who applied to come into our residential program, it's very rare to find a woman who's had no experience with sexual violence or physical violence, because it's actually a cost benefit to the government to fund community-based programs as opposed to the amount that it costs to incarcerate somebody. We could start by defunding the police and abolishing prisons. That would obviously be our number one goal. And then, ensuring that resources are more equitably distributed to communities Ultimately, the goal from an Indigenous perspective would be to operate outside of a capitalist economy and outside of that type of system that is in any regard going to be harmful to our communities, because that's not how we've operated, since time immemorial. And we really want to have an opportunity to get back to land-based methods of healing, and be able to have that agency over our communities. And we have a different perspective on folks that are diagnosed with mental health issues, and we have different ways of supporting those individuals and ensuring that their needs are met in a way that works for them. And so ultimately, we want to see people being released from prison. We want to see people returning to the land, understanding their responsibilities as Indigenous people to the land and to their community, and really ensuring that those opportunities are available outside of a system that's so incredibly harmful.